All right, what's up, y'all? We are back again, another night like in a row. This seems to be just the trend lately. This is very last minute. This is on the fly, but I've spoken with James before, and this dude is fascinating. And so when we found a nice little time slot to chime in, we jumped on it because this dude is incredible, and he may be like a borderline genius or undercover genius. He's very, very, very smart, and he's very, very in tune. And we got people in the comments already. That's awesome. What's up? Hey, some lighting differences tonight. I feel like I look really orange. So give me a second. I don't know. We're going to go with it. Who cares? Doesn't matter. I want to hear what James has to say, and that's why we're here. So let's bring him on. Mr. James, what's up, bro?
How you doing? It's an honor to be here, Cajun. I am very happy to be here with you.
Yeah, I'm very honored that you're here with me. Thank you for joining me, man, especially on this last minute little short deal here.
Yeah, well, you have to do that sometimes with the internet and all. Where were we going to start again? I forget. I'm trying to relax, and I've relaxed too much, apparently.
No, relax is a good thing. That's what makes the show organic. We are here having fun, just loving on everybody and being good spirits and being good human beings. We need people for the movement. We got to be good human beings, and that's healthy for our souls. That's healthy for our community. It doesn't even matter. But to address your question, we are starting with your hat.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's made out of hemp, and you can get one while they last by joining the Florida Cannabis Action Network, which is part of my activism. And the pin on it says re-legalize cat because, for me, hemp is, and cannabis activism in general, it's still a big part of my life, but really we should have won this battle 5-10 years ago. It's very frustrating that it's still going on. But one of my things is the Florida Cannabis Action Network, which brings me to I'm actually the cameraman or videographer or whatever we call it for a lady named Kathy Jordan. And Kathy is an ALS patient who survives because of medical cannabis. And just a couple of hits of cannabis will allow her to, the ALS tries to kill you. It's a really horrible disease. She's a very brave person, and I could never do this, but the ALS tries to kill her, and the smoked cannabis saves her. And Florida politicians in Tallahassee are really stupid, and they really, really hate the idea of smoking weed. And so they were all about, well, maybe she can do it with edibles. She can't. Maybe she can do it with rectal suppositories. She can't. She has ALS. ALS is trying to drown her. This is kind of gross, in her own snot. And in order for her to survive, she needs the cottonmouth effect that we have all experienced if we have smoked a joint, and there's a certain kind of cannabis, a certain varietal, people call it strain, but there's a certain kind of cannabis called Kathy's Choice that works the best for her. And it's 18% THC. I've tried it myself. I'm not an ALS patient.
You talked about this on that event.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Why is it that correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you said that you avoid using the word strain. Is that correct?
Yeah, strain to me sounds like a bacteria, a disease, a virus, and we have allowed our enemies to force us into their language, whether it's the M word, marijuana, which has its racist roots. The plant is called cannabis, damn it. Whether it's this word strain, there's all kinds of problems. Believe me, I can complain about geeky bullshit forever about that, but you don't want to hear that. Your people want to hear about how to beat the SAT, don't they?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I love that kind of stuff. I'm going to throw this up here real quick.
Okay.
Because it's one of the only things that will actually work and will knock off half the narcos off the market if it was nationwide.
Yeah. This Dylan Dupree guy is right, and that's why Big Pharma is so against it. And I've been fighting to get medical cannabis to the veterans that come to us usually after they've been through the VA system and been totally fucked up by the drugs they get them. And the only drug they won't get them is medical cannabis, which happens to coincidentally be the only drug that really works for them. And even some of the CBD stuff works. I mean, it's not just about THC. And with me, actually, my activism right now is for THC because there's this 10% limit thing in Florida. My state's crazy. I think my state's crazier than Mississippi, or Louisiana. The thing is that I always have these great debates with my Louisiana libertarian friends about the criminality of their state versus the criminality of Florida.
On who's worse?
Huh?
On who's worse?
Yeah, I am proud to say that I think Florida's worst, and of course they'll pull out, like, the thing is they've kind of got me on a per capita argument. And on the other hand, I've got them on the outrageous bullshit arguments.
Right. So
we throw these things back and forth at each other at the conventions and get nothing solved.
Right. I know that I would love to personally hear about all that, because that kind of stuff just interests me, because I am trying to be a lot more involved in our fight here in Mississippi, because medical cannabis helps so many people and me personally. But I understand that law can be a bit boring.
Yeah.
So I'll spare everyone. But piggybacking off of that, if you have any questions at all, just hit us up in the comments, and James and I will address them. And whatever questions that you have, because this guy right here is way ahead of the curve in his state, and I think that
I'm still learning all the time, man. I'm still learning. Believe me, I'm behind that curve to me. But do you want to? What should we talk about next? Let me talk about the SAT. Can we?
Yeah. I got it labeled as IQ test, but I wanted to get into that. That's brilliant.
The SAT is a proxy for IQ tests, and people think IQ tests work. And my theory, actually, let me start with my theory and then go into the stupidity of the IQ test. What I would do to figure out which kids are the smartest in a class of 20 or 30 kids is let the kids be with each other for at least 3 or 4 months, and then ask all the kids. Just ask them alone. No, consequences for any answer or whatever. Try to minimize the popularity contest aspect of it, because there's going to be that aspect of it. But just ask all the kids which kid's smartest, because the kids know, okay? And the kids know better than an IQ test after 3 or 4 months of being together with the other kids. Now let me tell you what I did on the SAT. When I was a teenager, I was not the brightest kid. And I'm still not the brightest person, by the way. People talk about me like I'm smart, and I'm not that smart. Believe me, you're going to find that out right now.
Yeah, I don't believe you.
The night before the SAT test, when I was supposed to be sleeping peacefully, and I had gone to bed, but I had not gone to sleep, around 9:30 or 10 p.m., I guess, there was a knock at my window, and my bedroom was on the far side from my parents' room. I made sure of that, actually. So I sneaked out to see my friends, and one of us had weed. It might have been me. One of us had cocaine. It wasn't me. Definitely wasn't me. One of us had beer, and I don't think any of us had any other drugs, but I know what happened. I mean, first of all, we snorted the cocaine instantly. Then we smoked some weed and drank some beer and listened to rock and roll and smoked more weed and drank more beer and got back home at like 3 a.m. or whatever. Okay. And so I tried to sleep. I got up at whatever that god awful hour they had me get up at when I was in high school. And I went to high school and I took the test. And I was not expecting to do very well on the test.
I guess not.
Well, I was kind of hungover-ish a little bit, but I was also relaxed in a bit, because I had done one thing to help myself that might be considered cheating. And so I'm going to admit to that right here, and
Nice.
say it saves you a little bit of time if you're enough of a geek to know about pencils, because a number 2 pencil is only so soft, but a number 1 pencil is a lot softer. And that number 1 pencil, if you bring 10 pencils, a couple of them being number 2s, because somebody might ask you to borrow a pencil, and believe me, you don't want to loan me your fucking number 1s. But anyway, if you bring a bunch of pencils, then you just look at like a geeky little kid who's trying to do well and all that. No, it's Jim Ray with a whole bunch of number 1 pencils who is trying to defeat the test by going faster, than I would be forced to go with the number 2s. And it worked, probably saved me 30 seconds or something like that. Right. But I don't think this had that significant of an effect on my score. That's the only way that I, quote, cheated, close quote. Okay. And throughout the test, because I knew that I was going to be able to take the test a second time. This was the first time I took the test. And so I knew I was going to be able to have another chance, even if I totally blew it. But I was kind of very relaxed. And it was almost like an out-of-body experience, And you know how athletes describe it when they're doing really good, really well and all that, and they're doing a pole vault or something like that, and time slows down and all that, That's how it was for me, kind of. I was kind of thinking like the test maker instead of a test taker, and it was kind of an out-of-body experience where I'm looking at myself taking the test and seeing them with 5 choices, knowing that 3 of those are just total, foul balls. 2 of them are over the plate, and 1 of them is going to be the right choice, and guessing, at that point.
I love the baseball analogy. Played baseball for a very long time at a high level. Love it.
And so that was my strategy with the test, and I didn't think I had done that well. And, a couple of weeks pass. I mean, I'm assuming I didn't do that well because I had partied so much with my friends that night, and my friends, I mean, I assumed they thought I was going to do pretty poorly too. And I don't know how they did, actually. I mean, ultimately, it was, well, let me backtrack here. I was a very geeky high school kid, and all I wanted to do was fit in, I mean, and of course, I didn't fit in very well at all. You could see that. It was hopeless. But so finally the scores come back, and I'm in the top 1/10 of 1%. This is weird. I should not have scored that high. Right. Let me explain. I am not the smart person in human. Look, all right, wait, take the hat off so I can show you. Okay. Yeah. I see my glasses here. I have spent more than an hour looking for my glasses while they are on top of my head. I'm less than 60 years old. I'm certain I've spent more than an hour doing that. That I am not that smart. If I am that smart, humanity has no fucking hope. So
that's not an issue of being smart or intellect. That is just forgetfulness. That's just because you're old.
But IQ does suck. The SAT sucks. There's a way to get around it. Bring a number 1 pencil, for God's sakes, kids, and hope you don't get caught with it. I don't know if it was even cheating. The thing is, they would just say, bring 2 number 2 pencils. Nice. So I brought in 2 number 2 pencils. Yeah, if you're not cheating, are you really trying?
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
I don't know what the hell I was doing. I mean, the thing is that morning I assumed that I was going to do a lot worse than I did. And then I took it again. Again, I scored in the top 1/10 of 1%. This time I did not party the night before. And actually this time on one of them, I forget which, I'm sorry. On one of them, there was like two sections, math and English. And on one, I scored better on the math. And on the other one, I scored better on the English. And I forget whether drugged up me was better on math or English. But, look, in either case, I am not that smart of a person. If I was that smart of a person, I'd be a Bitcoin billionaire asshole with a Ferrari. I wouldn't even be talking to you.
Okay. Well, I want everybody to hear what he's saying right now, because we're about to get into this cannabis cooking stuff here in a little bit. And yeah, he's going to prove himself wrong. So Just note that. Duly noted. Says he wasn't that smart. Yeah, we'll find out real fast. So keep going on the IQ test. So talk about. Go ahead.
A lot of these people say there's a racial component to IQ, and I don't think there is. I mean, I think it's a lot more complex than race, and race discussions drive me crazy anyway. Although I'm going to have one with Princess in a week, so obviously I'm a glutton for punishment and stupid and all that. But the IQ thing, I think people. The IQ thing was meant to screen people originally for military leadership. That was the original purpose of the test. And it was made by a certain kind and class of people, white and male. And so therefore white males definitely tend to do better on it, and I'm about as white and male as a person can be, although I'm actually an Elizabeth Warren Cherokee, like I said. I'm about as white and male as they can be. And so I think IQ testing is that way. I mean, but I don't think there's that much science about it and about what being smart is. Like I said, with the glasses on top of the head and all that other stupidity, I've seen a lot of smart people do a lot of very stupid things.
Yeah.
So intelligence is a weird gray area.
Yeah, it has layers. There's no doubt about it. And I like, man, I hope I don't get hammered for this. I think it's an Einstein quote, and I'm not going to try to quote it. I'm just going to give the context. And if it's not Einstein, I apologize. But it's something about, if you give a monkey and a fish or a squirrel and a fish the same test on who can climb a tree better, well, the fish will spend its whole life thinking it's stupid because it has layers. The intelligence has layers. We're all very good at certain things and not very good at others. This is broad, I believe. That.
One of my brothers is so totally better at language and arts than I am that it's amazing. I mean, I could never learn another language that well. If it's in between me and getting food or getting laid, I can do some Spanish. But, there's no way I could have gone to another country and learned Japanese. That's completely beyond me. But the different people, like you said, have different aptitudes, and it's a beautiful thing. And I don't think a number on an intelligence test does justice to it, especially knowing how dumb I can be about so many things. I just think, there's no way I'm in the top 1/10 of 1% of humanity. Okay, there's just no.
Okay. Another interesting thing to keep in mind with tests, and tests are something I'm very actually interested in, and I don't want to go off on this for too long because I know it can be a bit boring. We'll try to keep it interesting. I think James does a very good job of taking any kind of subject matter and making it great. So we're not worried there. But as far as I'm concerned, I know a little bit about test taking. I know a little bit about the psychology behind it because I think I graduated high school with like a 1.8 or something. And that wasn't exactly all a true number. I don't know a better way to say it because there was an issue there that I'm not going into because it's stupid and boring. But anyway, I found out later in life when I was about 25, when I entered the military, that I am an excellent test taker. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm the smartest person in the room. Most of the time, that's the opposite. I'm just a good test taker. That is something that's easy for me. I can take the 4 options because we're talking about basically you're going to get 4 options, just a general test. And I'm very good at that. And there's a lot of things that I'm not very good at. If you can hear my daughter in the background, I am sorry. She is teething. It is. And we'll put Dylan up here. He says, I'm the exact opposite. And
I remember when they changed things on the SAT slightly, and because they gave it to us multiple years, and it was that last year that I did the drugs and did so well. But but there was one year when it was 4 options. There was another year when it was 5 options, and on one of the years it paid to guess, and on the other year, unless you were sure you could rule out 1 or 2 choices, it paid just to leave things blank. And I forget which year was which or all that, but I remember I was very, very conscious of that rule at the time. I was at least that good of a test taker to know that those were my constraints and parameters as the rules of the test.
Yes.
So I was good about that. I wasn't good about a lot at school, and I wasn't nearly as good at writing, a nice essay or anything like that. I was terrible at that. But if you gave me a fill in the bubble thing, I could pretty well do it.
Yep, exactly. I mean, and I'm the same way. Just I don't even have to absorb a lot of the information. All I got to do is remember a little scan through of it, and I can pull up the right answers if it's that 4-question format.
Mm-hmm.
And but there's a lot of stuff that, like with you, that we're about to get into, and with a lot of these people, like I'm having to message back a bunch of times, like, hey, you got to explain this to me better.
One more thing. Would you ever imagine yourself, when you were in the Army and taking these tests or whatever, would you ever imagine yourself as the test maker, not a test taker, and you're kind of looking over yourself and thinking of it that way?
No, I never experienced that. Nope. I am 100% zoned in, and I'm usually at least one of the top 5 done first. A lot of people do a lot better, and I think those people are actually smarter than me, at least, when they take their time with the test and they pick through each little segment. I can't do that. I'll fail that test that way. But I can take that same test, and if I blaze through it as fast as possible on a 4-question format, I usually score at least a 90-something%, at least 85%. I have a 4.0 in community college, and that was when I was 33 or something, And so, I aged differently. I understood my intellect better later, and that's another reason IQ tests, I believe, that's spot on, is stupid. And it's a numerical value, and you can't put a numerical value on intelligence and intellect and aptitude and ability, in my personal opinion.
Well, what do you think of my idea of just asking the kids, and letting the kids? I know it's going to be hard to make it scientific, but I knew which kids in my high school were the smartest, and believe me, it wasn't me.
I love your idea about children being the metric, if that's right, because I think it's a lot more genuine. I think there's a lot less involved complexity-wise in their answer, if that makes sense. I think it would narrow that down really quick, but at the same time, you'd still need a test for adults, and that would have to be different.
Yeah. And also, the problem with my idea is that once people realize that's what was happening, adults would try to game it, even if the kids didn't, and they would get their kids to answer the way they want them to rather than the real way. So there's always going to be problems with that. Now, what else are we going to talk about?
Let's get into it. I want to talk about Florida.
Oh, Florida. Are you going to come to our stupid convention? We have a pretty good one, actually. I'm hoping to get Ricky Dale Harrington. We got Spike. We got Tasha. Who else do we got? Joe Jorgensen, I think.
You got Tasha Cohen?
Yes.
Oh, and her spouse. Okay.
Yes, and her spouse. Yes,
that's clearing that up. Sure.
Yes, Tasha. And there's various other fun things happening. On the Friday night of the first Friday night, they don't seem to have any food planned. And I've always had a dream of doing this, and I have most of a box of ramen. And so we're going to have, if all goes well, we're going to have a ramen contest, because I lived on that. And some of us, I mean, I love her to death, but Martha Bueno is too high class for ramen, so she can go out and get other food. But, I lived on ramen for a long time, even though I would get fat as a pig if I ate it too often now. No carbs, Jim. No carbs. But I'm gonna have that night, and we're gonna have a contest, and we're gonna see how it goes. Nice. I have my edibles. This is my pot pesto. Let me see. Now I can't even open it. Shit. There. It doesn't even pour anymore. It's
Oh, James cut out on us. We can still hear you, but we lost your video, James.
am I on? Let's see. Start cam.
There you go.
What happened? I don't even know what happened.
It's all good.
I'm sorry. All right, whatever.
It's fine.
I was trying to show you my pesto. Apparently I can't. I'm not certain what's happening with this computer. I'm getting a new computer shortly, and this computer is telling me that I should do that very soon.
Yeah.
But I have to talk to the other people. Where was I even? I need.
Well, no, you're fine. So, like on the show that we did over Event 420, you were talking about how oppressive and ridiculous it is to get around all the laws, and how much you're doing in that area. But not just that, but you wanted to tell everybody how you can come to Florida and do what you need to do and avoid a felony, which is
that's
very important.
Yes. Thank you, Cajun. Okay, yes. The line in Florida is 20 grams of cannabis, and they take that very seriously. So if you have 19.9 grams of super duper high THC bud, that is going to be a misdemeanor. But if you have 20.1 grams of the worst big brick weed you've ever smoked, that is going to be a felony.
Hey, hold 1 second, James. Do me a favor. Scoot to your right about a foot.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
All right, continue. Thank you.
I'm sorry. And then aside from that, okay, you don't want to bring any weed concentrates, like no vape pens or any of that stuff, to Florida. Once you come here, if you have a patient friend who can, share one with you, maybe that would be bad. They can't legally do that, okay? But you don't want to get caught in your car with any felony, any concentrates, any 20.1 grams, any of that. You want to stick under 19 grams of weed, and you don't want any paraphernalia aside from papers. Just no bongs, no pipes, just your papers, because those can arguably be used for tobacco, so they let you slide. But our cops are very bad, especially the ones in Charlotte County. Do not get caught in Charlotte County. Or what other county is it? Brevard is pretty bad too, and so is Clay, but especially Charlotte. Don't get caught in Charlotte County.
So, what is that? All the math that you were wanting to give, as far as what you can and can't do, and what you can and can't use, and
don't bring concentrates. I don't think there is a small enough amount of concentrates that's not a felony. It's that bad. Okay, so you just want to bring strong bud, and 19.9 grams of really good bud is basically 20 super righteous joints. For the kind of joints I would roll, it'd be more like 28 or 30 joints, something like that. But, 21 gram joints is 20 sizable joints of high THC cannabis. And that's going to get you all the way down to Key West and back out of here, And so I would urge you to stay safe in Florida, not trust any Floridians, all that. Stay long and spend a lot.
Stay long and spend a lot. Nice.
Yeah,
so,
the convention if you can. I mean, our convention, I'm hoping that Ricky Dale Harrington comes, and that's going to be great if he does.
When is your convention?
Oh, crap. June 11th to the 13th. And so it's that weekend, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's in Lakeland, Florida, which is one of those crappy Orlando suburbs.
I know where Lakeland is.
And it's in a hotel that's, how can I say this, more expensive than I would have gone. I mean, what I would do with the LPF is I go for the cheap seats. I go for the really cheap stuff. But our convention committees are much more posh than I am, and they want a conference room and all that bullshit.
Right.
I figure a hospitality suite's enough for me.
Right. Yeah, I'm not very picky at all. That's for sure. So I've talked a lot about with you and just kind of behind the scenes and stuff about some of the stuff you're able to do as far as cooking with cannabis. Did you have something you wanted to show us that you have prepared, and just give us a little rundown on some of the benefits of that?
I killed my camera when I was trying to show you the pesto before, but it appears that my lecithin solidifies things, which makes sense, into kind of a blob of, I don't know.
Like gelatin?
Yeah, but it's a delicious blob. I mean,
Right.
I'm having fun with that. And I'm using it with vinegar in the pesto and with lemon juice in the hummus. I use commercial hummus, and so I can't even aim.
Oh,
I
that's
use
good.
commercial hummus and just add it to that, and I add the lecithin to powdered cannabis and vinegar, and that re-wets the powdered cannabis after I have dried it out by decarbing it. And then I add a little bit of oil to that to kind of mix with the lecithin, and then I add it into the hummus, or in the case of the the pesto, I do the same thing but with vinegar and add it into the commercial pesto. And so I'm really not actually doing any cooking, you know. I mean, if I were to cook, it would be 10% better or something like that, but I'm 100% too lazy to do that. So all I do is this. But what I'm discovering over the past few days, because you're treating me like this expert, and actually I'm sitting here learning.
Well, you know way more than I do, and so I want to hear you.
Well, I'm learning every single time. And yesterday I learned that this lecithin thing really boosts up the effectiveness. So it wasn't unpleasant. I mean, I didn't have a Maureen Dowd experience. I guess we should explain what that is. If nobody knows, Maureen Dowd is a New York Times columnist and statist jerk, and she hates us, and we kind of despise her. And she went off when Colorado first legalized weed. She went off on the New York Times budget to see what Colorado weed being legal was like. And she goes into a dispensary, but she's a New York Times columnist. So why the hell is she ever going to listen to the pothead who's in the dispensary? Clearly he knows nothing. And she's on the New York Times expense budget, and I've been on a corporate expense budget before, and I can tell you what you do. You buy the biggest thing you think you can get away with. She bought the giant candy bar that was like 10 doses for me, okay? 10 doses for me. And she's a newbie with weed, doesn't bother listening to the hippie in the dispensary telling her, hey, you only want to eat like a tenth of this bar, gets out of there, goes back to her hotel room, eats a portion of the candy bar, nothing happens, orders room service, gets, I think, some wine or whatever, eats the rest of the candy bar, drinks some more of the wine. At that point, something happens. And, if you've ever eaten edibles and had a bit too much of them, cannabis is never going to kill you, no matter how much you try to overdose on it. I once had 5 grams of black hash in some spaghetti, without the lecithin, by the way. And that was a powerful experience, but it wasn't ever going to kill me. And Maureen was never going to die either. But she had, how can I put this? She had a humbling experience for a New York Times columnist. And believe me, whenever something bad happens to a New York Times columnist, media critics like me go nuts with joy. Oh, and I wanted to mention this, Cajun.
Go ahead.
I am now an officially newly minted Society of Professional Journalists journalist because of that meme. Okay, there's a meme that I spread.
I know the meme.
The 15 the Joe Jorgensen, basically the debates meme. Okay, and I am trying to kill the Commission on Rigged Debates before 4 years from now passes. And so I've hated these people for a while. I'm pretty sure they hate me too. They've probably got me muted on Twitter by now, I think. But it's at Debates on Twitter, and I'm at James Milton Ray. The M is for Milton, so it's all one word, James Milton Ray on Twitter. And everyone's welcome to follow me. If they want to.
Excuse me, sorry, I got scratching my throat. When we get done here, we're about to wrap up here in just a few seconds, but please do me a favor and do all of us a favor. Put that information in the comment section.
Oh, sure.
For sure.
Okay. And I forget what else. I have a feeling I'm forgetting to say something, man.
I don't think so.
If I did, that's my Twitter there. I just put it on there. And I'm James M. Ray on Facebook. So I'll find myself and do that. And I'm pretty easy to find, although Facebook seems to be thinking I'm a thought criminal of late.
Yeah.
And you'll be amused by this. Actually. Okay.
You actually put that in private chat, James. So I need to put it just when we get off. Put it in the comment section.
Oh, okay. But let me tell you what Facebook punished me with: 24 hours of.
Bye, Sarah.
In 24 hours of Zucker jail, I had this thing, and it was a meme that I've posted multiple times, and so I'm scared that they're going to Zucker jail me again. But it's a McAfee Valentine that talks about let's go fuck a whale and avoid the government in international waters or something like that. And to me, it was about love and jokes and fun and all that. The Facebook censors took it very seriously.
That's what I'm looking for right there.
All right,
thank you. Yeah. So with somebody that runs exclusively basically on social media, I try to avoid certain things that will get the page banned because, for obvious reasons, like I try to be very careful and tread lightly. Now I have another account where I do not do that as much. That's actually why I started this account. Because I kept getting harassed by Facebook. So anyway, that's a longer story that you guys are about to hear very soon, actually tomorrow, I hope. But with James,
I'm looking forward to it, man, because
on Tony's,
I think that's a very interesting idea. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm very excited about it. It's my first time being interviewed live. So basically, I'm interviewing you now, and I don't even hate that word interview. I just really just want you to talk. That's all it is. I have awesome people on here that know all about this stuff way better than I do. So, but so I'll be on the other end of it tomorrow night.
I have a feeling we're missing something. Like, what were we talking about before the show? What was before the show? There was something that we were going to talk about that we've missed. I'm almost certain.
Ain't no telling. It goes organically. It's all good. Yeah, Put it in the comment section if you remember.
Yeah, I'll mention it with Princess in a week whenever they let her back on. They banned her. That's why I'm doing this with you, because I was going to talk with her about the Social Security mess, which is another mess in my life. I'm stupid enough to talk about the worst possible things for me to talk about. But what I want to talk about is thorium. Nobody wants to talk about that with me, believe me.
We did talk a little bit about Social Security, so that may be what you're talking about, but I do want you to say for Sarah, for Princess Riviera show.
We should do a whole show about thorium, though, dude. Messaging for thorium is our message. Thorium is the future. If we get that kind of prosperity, and this is my controversial idea, okay? And I can't speak for the caucus. The Energy from Thorium caucus probably thinks half of them think I'm a fucking nutcase. But I want our enemies to prosper. I want China. I want North Korea. I want Iran. I want whatever these other shithole countries are to harness energy from thorium and have a massive molten salt breakthrough and suddenly be able to sell the world energy at 1/10 of the cost that a coal power plant is. And I don't even care if they do or don't want nuclear weapons, because if they can do that, they're not going to want nuclear weapons. They're going to want to make money off of us, aren't they?
I'm probably going to go with they'll still want nuclear weapons, but I need to hear about more. We need to talk about this a lot. So
Okay.
save that. That's something we
All
can
right,
talk
yeah.
about. Now,
Yeah, we can
maybe we'll have a
another whole
round.
show. Another
Yeah,
whole
maybe.
show about that.
Yeah,
And
maybe do something else. Maybe a roundtable discussion or something. Because I think
and somebody, believe me, there's going to be somebody who thinks I'm batshit crazy for thinking our enemies should have this breakthrough. And obviously, I want the USA to have this breakthrough too. It's not like I want.
I get that.
I want the breakthrough to happen on my planet. That's what I want. And so I don't really care about which national border. But anyway, yeah. Look, I know the cost is prohibitive. Everything's prohibitive. Anyway, it's been an honor to be on with you, man. I'll go on your show at any time. Just say the word.
You.
Short notice, no problem. Whatever.
Yeah. No, man, it's awesome. What I want, and I don't think y'all. He downplayed it, and we didn't have time to go into it and prep for all this. Not that there's a lot of prep that goes into it, but I want to do a show with you, like a 30-minute show where you just start from scratch to finish and make us something, cook us something.
Oh God.
Something odd, not like brownies and stuff like that.
Right,
because like when I get my medical card here soon, I'm also a type 1 diabetic because my pancreas is a very angry organ and we fight all the time. And so I want edibles, but I want edibles that aren't going to get me super stoned and that will coexist well with my diabetes. So I want to talk about that kind of stuff. I want to dive into the details of cooking cannabis.
I have an idea for you that you could do now before you even get your card. If you go to our friends, and it's Dan and what's his name? The other guy. But Dan Taxation is that Def Berman, who, by the way, taxation is extortion, Dan. Okay, I'm just going to make this clear. But anyway, if you go to Dan's site, it's Nug of Knowledge. You can get this CBD weed, and that might work for you as an edible that you wouldn't even have to buy the medical kind of weed. And it's got very little THC in it, but you can make edibles out of it that do some of the things that THC edibles do. And there's an interesting thing about THC and CBD working together, and they actually all work together along with all the terpenes and the flavonoids and all this other stuff in this giant, it's like an orchestra.
That's the stuff I want to talk about. Save it.
Yeah, this is the what is it called? The something effect, and I forget whatever it is. But anyway,
we didn't dive off into it.
My crazy doctor friend Barry Gordon, who does my show, you can see on the Show with a View on Facebook. You can see all kinds of stuff about that, and even he doesn't know that much. We're all still learning. That's the really cool thing about this. It's still early on, just
very much,
just like in Bitcoin. And we could do a show about Bitcoin too. Believe me. And how stupid I am.
If I don't know anything about Bitcoin.
Dude, if I was smart, I would have so many Bitcoins by now. Oh, believe me.
You're smart. You're smart. Yeah, you're smart. Everybody's smart. Everybody has a groove and a stride that they have mentally. It's just about finding it. I think that's the real path. Anyway, that's a whole nother subject. Thank you for coming on. We're gonna jump off here. I got to throw this up here because you're gonna very much enjoy this. So I apologize, y'all. But see this right here? There's a little YouTube. Well, I don't know if you can see my cursor or not, but there's a YouTube sign right there, Anarchy Park Alpha. So if you get on my YouTube channel and go have a conversation with these people, because it looks like both of y'all are very smart and they're very, very knowledgeable about this subject. Anyway, all right. Thank you very much. James, we'll talk to you real soon. I really want to do like a very genuine and unique, like libertarian, pro cannabis and medical and educational cooking show. I think that would be awesome. So obviously we'll keep in touch because I love you very much. And what we talk.
I'm still thinking about, by the way, making a hot sauce based on this stuff. Pick a Pepper has come out with it. with a mango kind of pica pepper, and I'm thinking of making a hot sauce based on activated kif and that. And I'm still experimenting on myself. The problem is I'm not allowed to experiment on other people legally, and I would never do anything illegal.
Yeah, be your own test bunny. Oh, well, obviously you're not going to do anything illegal. That's not what we do.
The thing is, what I found out yesterday, like I was saying, is I did the Maureen Dowd. I mean, I was pretty stoned. I mean, today I'm less stoned because I have more respect for it. But yesterday I had insufficient respect for my own edibles, and it was a problem.
That's funny. Yeah. You got to be careful. Again, and that's an episode hopefully that everybody wants to hear. And we'll have a couple people on. And if you're paying attention later this week, I'll have Tracy on, podcaster for Oklahoma. But there's a lot of people that feel a lot like myself and some of my very close family that we want that medicinal marijuana, that certain strain. I know I'm not supposed to use that word, but at the right dosage to where it can take care of our mental health, it can take care of our physical health, and we're not walking around stoned out of our minds. I don't mind if people get high. That's fine. That's not as far as with cannabis is concerned. That's not a big deal for me. But I want all of the layers to it because I think this conversation is extraordinarily important. And we've been missing out for, 120, 30 years now. I mean, this is ridiculous and beyond absurd. We need to legalize this and we need to get this into people so that we can get off the pharmaceuticals. Anyway, we'll have that conversation later.
It's a longer one. Believe me, there's all kinds of layers.
But it's super freaking important. It's so important. It's so important. Anyway, I don't want to beat that dead horse. We'll have another one. Again, I want to talk about with Tracy this week. I mean, everything's popping off on my end, so y'all stay tuned on the scheduling part. I'm going to let Mr. James get into his citrus there. Is that what that is?
Yes, I've eaten lemons and limes and parsley since I was a small child.
Nice.
As a small child in restaurants, I'm told, I don't even remember this. I would go around the table, and because most of the adults didn't eat their parsley, I would ask for all of it, and I would eat all the parsley. And I still love parsley.
That's not bad. Look, I'm actually pretty proud that I nailed that right out the gate. I wasn't sure what you were eating. I could barely tell by the rind it was citrus, but like I told you before, I am a cook. Did that for a very long time. So anyway, I can't wait to get back with you on you whipping us up something live, like a really cool cooking show and teaching us all. And keep doing what you're doing, man. You're awesome. Thank you.
You could probably do Cajun versions of things that I do instantly,
Absolutely.
A roux with cannabis, that's natural. I mean, that's going to happen, right? I mean, it's got to happen.
It's gravy.
Oh, man.
I mean, so very easily. I can make a roux right now.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
It's an honor to be with you. See you next time, whenever that is.
Yeah, absolutely. Real soon. Thank you, my man. Can't wait to talk to you again. All right. Well, that was awesome. As always, sorry for the short notice, and hopefully we can get a little bit more detailed into some of the other things because obviously he has a lot to say and he's very well educated and articulate and just great. I love that guy. I think he's awesome. And there's a lot to dive into with him in regards to what we can do moving forward for cannabis education. And so thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope we learned something. I know I learned something. And I will see y'all tomorrow night on Life and Liberty, Tony Moan's podcast. I'll be interviewed tomorrow night. Opposite ends of the camera and the microphone. So I'm really looking forward to that. Really, really very much am. It should be a lot of fun and it should be hopefully very entertaining and interesting and hopefully somebody can learn something. And so can't wait to see you then. I will see y'all tomorrow. Love you. All right.